Are you someone that's thinking about getting a snake but not entirely sure if it's right for you? Well, stick around because in today's video, what I'm going to be discussing today is the pros and cons of owning a pet snake. So stick around. My name is Nick Pulaski. Growing up, I have always had a passion for wildlife, and with that passion, along with my passion of filmmaking, I get taken on some amazing adventures creating wildlife content, getting up close with a variety of incredible animals. So come follow along as I pursue my goals of educating, inspiring, exploring, and conserving wildlife, all while having fun, seeing the beauty in our natural world. Hey, what is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me here today. So there are pros and cons that come with owning any sort of pet, whether it's a dog, a cat, a fish, or even a reptile like a snake. And what I'm going to be discussing is through my personal experiences, the pros and cons of keeping pet snakes, in my personal opinion. You'll decide by the end of this video if a snake is right for you. And like I said, I have kept snakes all my life, and a wide variety of different species as well to say. And with all of that has come a lot of experience. So with that being said, let's start off and let's discuss the pros of keeping a pet snake. So the first pro we're going to discuss is that they are very easy to maintain. Now it's all provided that you're giving the species that you're owning the proper care that it requires. So as long as you're doing that, you're going to be golden, I assure you. As well as you have to keep up with consistent upkeep and maintenance for the animal as well too. And the nice thing too that you can also consider, if you're like me and you also experience cold winter months, you don't have to take a snake out to go for walks, and you don't have to take a snake out to go to the bathroom during the cold. You don't have to take a snake out for walks or go to the bathroom in general, which is a huge perk as well. Which is great because for a snake, you don't have to worry about rushing home from work or school just to take him out because he needs to go to the bathroom or go for a walk or anything like that. Snakes are very independent and you don't have to worry about them doing their business out in the yard. They will do that in their enclosure and you just take care of it right there and then and call it a day. And unlike other pets, snakes are very independent animals, so you don't have to worry about giving them constant affection and constant attention for them to be well taken care of. They are very independent on their own. Alright, so the next pro we're going to be discussing is snakes are hypoallergenic. So these guys actually have scales, and some actually are scaleless, believe it or not, and they don't actually have fur or feathers. So you don't have to worry about, if you have allergies, getting allergic to your pet snake. I assure you, you will not have allergies to these guys. You may have allergies to certain bedding types, so also keep that in consideration, but I assure you, you will not be allergic to the snake itself. So that is also a great thing about snakes, is them being hypoallergenic. So in terms of hypoallergenic pets, keep this in mind. You can either get a pet snake or you can get one of those hairless cats. And if you get one of those hairless cats, you're going to have to clean the litter box, which in my opinion is pretty gross. The next pro on my list is going to be that snakes are actually therapeutic, believe it or not. So like my ball python right here, he is totally chill. Now there are going to be some species of snakes that are more rapid moving, but we're talking about species like ball pythons, which is why they're so popular, because they're very easy to handle. These snakes like this, they love to just kind of chill out. They move very slow. So if you get a snake like this that just kind of moves through your fingers and stuff like that, it can be very relaxing and very therapeutic to some people, and it actually will help relieve some people's anxiety, believe it or not. I hear it all the time from people that say, yeah, whenever I feel anxious, I just take out one of my pet snakes and they just kind of just glide through my fingers and it feels very calming to them. And I personally believe it, because I just get mesmerized by the cool patterning and the beauty of the animal itself, as well as snakes are all just muscle. So you're just feeling the snake just kind of glide through your hands. It's very therapeutic. Believe it or not too, there are actually places that have opened up where they actually provide snake therapy, where all they're doing is they're just giving someone a snake to hold and handle, and it's actually very therapeutic to them in their sessions. So it's actually pretty cool to think about. Alright, so this next pro, you ready for this one? Listen to this. Did you hear that? I didn't. And that's because snakes don't actually make noise. That's right, they don't bark, they don't meow, they don't even squawk. They just kind of huff and puff, but they won't blow your house down, and they won't give you a noise complaint, that's for sure. Snakes are very quiet pets, which is awesome. I mean, we're around a whole bunch of snakes in this room right now, and you cannot hear a single one of them. You could drop a pin in here and just hear that. Snakes are very, very quiet. Perfect for a library. Alright, so here's the next pro that I like to discuss, and it's that snakes actually don't require daily feedings. They don't actually need that. They have very slow metabolisms, and they would be totally fine if you fed them once a week. Sometimes people even feed them once every other week. Some snakes actually require only a meal once a month, and that's just totally dependent on the species of snake. Now obviously you don't want to starve your snake or get your snake malnourished, but this is what they actually need, and actually it's something perfect in comparison to a dog or a cat where it needs multiple meals a day. Snakes do not require that, so you only have to feed these guys on average, normally depending on the species of snake, once a week, or every other week. Depending on the species, it all determines those things. But that is normally the bare minimum, is once a week is commonly the common practice for a lot of species of snakes, which is actually pretty convenient. Think about it. If you have to go on vacation, you could feed your snake right before you go on vacation for a week or 5 days or whatever. It's commonly what I do. And then once you do that, you clean them up right before you leave. And then once you come back, totally fine. You could always get someone to come in and check on them as well too, just to make sure they have fresh water and everything that they need. But snakes are very easy to maintain because you don't have to do consistent feedings for them. And it's also nice, while I'm thinking about it too, you don't have to give someone the job, if they're kind of fearful of it, to feed your snake as well too. So that's also a very easy, convenient perk of owning a snake as well. Now, another really fun thing about snakes as well too is, depending on the species, they come in a variety of different colorations and morphs and sizes. Other pro of owning a snake, and reptiles alike, is they actually live for long periods of time. I would say in captivity, a bare minimum for a snake's age would probably be about 20 years. For longer periods, some live into their 30s and beyond as well too. It's not uncommon. And what's great about that as well too is you're going to be living with your slithery companion for a very long time, which in my opinion is awesome. Alright guys, so those are my personal opinion, the pros of owning a pet snake. There's definitely going to be other ones out there that I'm currently not thinking of, and if you guys have any other ones, definitely leave those down in the comments down below so other people like myself can also read those as well too, and also know the other pros of owning a pet snake. But now let's discuss the cons of owning a pet snake. Are you ready? You definitely come with your burdens, that's for sure, but you have a lot of pros going for you. They're just so adorable. I just can't get over that cute little face. Alright, so the first con we're going to discuss is the first question I commonly get asked by a person that's just getting into snakes. That con is, does a snake bite? And the answer is going to be simply, yes. Anything with a mouth and teeth will bite. But as you can see, this animal is not lashing out at me. It's totally chill, totally relaxed, and totally trusting of me. And really what it comes down to is handling with confidence and properly handling the animal. The animal just wants to feel secure. So the snake just wants to feel secure in your hand and use you as a human tree. It's wrapped around me calmly, and it trusts me that I'm not going to drop this animal. You have to think in comparison to, you are this giant being compared to this guy right here in perspective of its head. To some snakes as well too, even the bigger ones, in comparison, still the same concept. You have to kind of consider those things. It's all about perspective at the end of the day. And if you handle the animal properly, and if you handle it with confidence, your chances, though they are still there, they're a lot slimmer of getting bit versus if you're handling the animal improperly. So just keep those things in mind, and sometimes it's just a fluke thing and the snake is just kind of giving off a feeding response or something like that. Snakes bite for normally two reasons. They bite out of defense, and they bite when they're hungry. So it's just kind of a misconception right there. Obviously, this snake is not going to eat me or whatever or anything like that, so do not fear the snake whatsoever. The teeth on a lot of species of snakes actually are very, very tiny, so do not worry about getting bit. It happens in an instant, and it feels like you just get flicked a little bit and you draw a little bit of blood. For most species of snakes, like these guys right here, like ball pythons for example. For the more commonly kept species of snakes, do not worry about getting bit. I assure you, as long as you do those kind of things, your chances are very slim. The next con I want to discuss is snakes are actually really good at hiding their illnesses. So a lot of reptiles, and even cats are like this too. They're very good at hiding their illnesses until something is really, really troubling them. And then you start seeing problems happening. If they're losing weight in a drastic measure, or if they're like putting bubbles out of their mouth and nose and stuff like that, all bad signs. And definitely you want to seek an exotic reptile vet that specializes in snakes or something like that. So it's always good to stay ahead of the curve and locate the nearest exotic vet for you that treats snakes, and always maybe even doing checkups with your snakes and stuff like that as well too with the vet. That's always great practice. So definitely locate the nearest exotic vet to you so you can always be ahead of the curve if a problem ever arises. Always have a game plan. Alright, another con of having a pet snake is your poop smells terrible. But to really combat this, it's all about maintenance, like I said. So as long as you're taking care of the animal, you're cleaning its environment and making sure that the animal is well taken care of and has clean bedding and so on and so forth, you are not going to have that problem. It's going to smell for a couple seconds, and then once you clean it up, it's totally back to normal and fine. And not only are you going to appreciate it as well as everyone else in your house, but your snake will too, that's for sure. Isn't that right? And the next common con for a lot of people is what they eat. So the prey items for these guys commonly is either live or frozen thawed meals. So to some people that can be a little bit unsettling and troubling. Obviously a lot of people would prefer to put these guys on frozen thawed, so it's really troubling even for myself and hard to feed anything live. I love rodents just as much as I love snakes. I love all animals really, so it's always really hard, but I mean it's something that sometimes has to happen. Sometimes it's just the circle of life. You get certain picky eaters that just won't switch over bit of frozen thawed, or they just take a very long time for sure, and it's just something you have to do. You don't want the snake to starve, obviously, and it's just the sacrifice that needs to be made, but it can be troubling to some people. Not to mention, this even happened to me growing up, where my family did not like me keeping frozen thawed rodents in the freezer. So the tip I have to give you guys, if you don't want to see the rodents in your freezer, is put them either in a bag or put them either in a box or something that will cover them and block them out of sight so you don't have to see them. And really, if you just want to think about it this way as well too, it's no different than any other meat in your freezer as well. I mean, it's all just kind of frozen meat at the end of the day. So you can kind of think about it like that if you want to, but really just the best tip is just kind of put it out of sight, out of mind in the freezer. Just kind of hide it under a bag or in a box or something like that. You'll be good to go, I promise you. Alright, so another con to snakes in comparison to other animals, say like a dog or a cat for a pet, for example, these guys do not show love and affection. So I will say these guys do build a tolerance to being handled, but it's not necessarily a love or affection. It's more so a buildup from consistent handling and also a trust buildup. Like this snake right here, it has built a trust with me. When it was a baby, it was a little bit more skittish and constantly moving and stuff like that, just trying to get away or just kind of being eerie of me. But after constantly handling this animal, it's more tolerable of being handled, but it's not coming up to me, it's not trying to cuddle me or anything like that. It may kind of get close to me and nuzzle up against me for warmth at times, but it's not trying to come up to me and cuddle me or anything like that and give me kisses or whatever. That's not how snakes show affection or anything like that. It's more so just being tolerant of being handled. So keep that in mind as well too. If you want something that's more going to be cuddling against you and everything like that, a snake is not necessarily going to be doing that, but they will definitely be tolerable. If you guys want to just sit on the couch and just watch TV together, they should be totally chill with that. So keep that in mind as well too. And another kind I want to discuss is that there are just some people that are afraid of snakes, and that could be someone that you're personally living with in your family or your household, and it could also even be like a roommate, a friend, anyone that comes over. They can be afraid of snakes as well too. And the fear of snakes can come from multiple different outlets. It can come from the media, it can come from a negative upbringing, it can come from a traumatic experience, and so on and so forth. It can come from a multiple of different experiences, and it's unfortunate because these guys get a bad rep for sure, for no reason whatsoever. Snakes are not out to get people. They aren't bad luck whatsoever. They're definitely one of the most misunderstood animals, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, don't let this discourage you. It's all about educating people. More specifically, educate the people around you about the species in specific that you're wanting. So if you are wanting, say, a ball python, educate them about them. So let them know what a ball python is all about. Let them know what the snake is all about. Kind of get an understanding where they're coming from, what they're afraid of with the snake, and kind of show them and educate them not only your game plan of how you're going to be a responsible pet keeper, but also go a little bit deeper so you can help them go through and understand where their fears are coming from and how they can start overcoming them as well. Because at the end of the day, it's a win-win for not only you, it's also a win for them. If you're educating them about the snake, maybe it's going to get you in a better spot for you to actually get the snake, as well as maybe they can help overcome their fears of snakes as well too. I've seen it all the time. Don't think I'm crazy. I'm telling you, it can happen. So it can happen from the most scared person ever of snakes. I mean, they could jump on a chair and be so afraid of this snake right here. But I can assure you, I've gotten a person to instantly fall in love with snakes that is like that. So it can happen, I promise you. All it takes is a little bit of education, because the opposite of fear is knowledge. The last con I want to go over, and I actually brought up my hypo Burmese python Eddie here. He is a good boy, that's for sure, and has a lot of growing to do still, that's for sure. A Burmese python is definitely not for everyone, I can assure you on that. We'll discuss Burms in a future video as well too on their own. But the other con I would say for snakes as a whole is they are very, very curious creatures, always on the go, and that can sometimes lead to it being very difficult to actually taking a picture with one of these guys. Now Eddie here, he's actually being very tolerant, he's being a good boy right now, he's being very slow, but as you can see, he's kind of leaning off the camera right now, being very curious, and it's hard for him to sit still if I'm trying to take a photo. So it's always really a challenge if you're trying to take a photo with your snake or anything like that. I'm taking multiple shots just to try to get a decent shot of a snake at the end of the day. It's very rare that you're going to get the perfect shot with a snake, that's for sure. But that's always a challenge, is taking a photo with the snake. Sometimes they just don't hold still, but that's okay. We love them regardless. But there you have it, guys. There's my personal list of pros and cons of owning a pet snake. Like I said, it's not for everyone, but it is a very rewarding thing if you're able to take on a a pet snake. It's amazing, that's for sure. I love pet snakes. I've always had them in my life, and I've never looked back. There you have it, guys. If you guys have any other pros and cons that I personally didn't list, definitely leave those down below. I personally would love to hear those, as well as other people would appreciate them as well too. And thank you guys so much again for watching today's video. It truly means the world to me. If you guys could do me a few favors, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it, as well as hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Definitely check me out on my social media as well too. I'll leave links down below so you guys can check me out. Thank you guys so much again for watching. It truly means the world to me, and until next time, Eddie and I will see you again soon. Take care.